been a little while. Just trying to remember how all this stuff works here. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my studio. My name is Michael Markowski, and today we're going to continue our series where we look at how to get the whole painting process started. And as you'll recall, in the last two episodes, we looked at how to find ideas. When you've got no ideas, like literally where to start from ground zero, where ideas come from. And then last class, we looked at trying to find some images that might inspire a painting. And in this case, we looked at a whole bunch of books that I had found from the library on ancient cave art made by our our greatest ancestors, all the way back to the times where we were living in and around caves, potentially pre-language, and all sorts of theories as to what the purpose of art was back then, and may or may not be the same thing that it is for us today. So we're going to continue with that today, and I'm going to show you how I take those scans that I did, bring them into the computer, get them formatted just so right that I can then bring them into my iPad. I'm going to do some outlines, and then I'm going to bring them back into the computer, get them all ready, and then upload them to a Dropbox folder. So this is a little bit more of just sort of behind the scenes as to how all these episodes are made, how the sausage is made in the factory. So it may not be the most exciting episode, but just kind of gives you an idea of the work that goes into making these episodes. So feel free to join me by drawing along with me or chatting with me in the chat, or check in and out as we go here. And yeah, I'm super excited because I've been wanting to do this type of episode for a long time, just showing how things are done here. Okay. Oh, there's Saria's Gaming says, watching your course from the beginning. Daboom says your course is the best. That's awesome. Thank you so much for saying hello and for doing the course, whether it's the drawing or painting course. I'm very appreciative. Okay, I need my thumbnails. There we go. It's been a while. Me trying to figure out how to do everything all over again. Okay. So as I said, what we're about to do here is we're going to look at the process for creating outlines that I use in all of these past 400 painting episodes. Here's the breakdown of the next few hours of today's episode. So we're going to talk about how I scanned those images, how I sort and choose those images. We're going to create 8.5 by 11 images in Photoshop for outlining. Then I'm going to airdrop those onto my iPad to do some drawings in the ProCreate software. Then I'm going to do those outlines here on my iPad. Then I'm going to export them back into Photoshop. I'm going to add a watermark on top of it, and then export it to the Dropbox folder. So all those timestamps will be in the timeline down below or in the video description as well. Maybe just quickly before we do so, just a reminder to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when these episodes are going to take place. So I've been a little bit missing in action for the last little while, but I'm hoping to kind of get back into a normal routine again. So if you don't want to miss any future episodes, make sure you've got that notification bell hit. If you want to support the channel with a small donation, $1, $5, $5 million, all will be graciously accepted. If you scan that QR code that was on the screen, or enter in the web address there, and again, all those links are in the description below, it'll take you to a place just like this where you can safely and securely donate to support the channel. Just make sure that the links are correct. You can, if you use the links that are in the video description below, you know you got the right ones. I have seen some people saying, hey, I just contributed to the channel, but no money comes through. So I don't know what that's about, if somebody's sending the money to somewhere else. But make sure if you're sending money to a place, that you're using the correct links there. Other ways to donate is you can send an e-transfer by email or check in the mail, or use the YouTube super chat while we're here live. If you do send a check or money, or just make sure that my name is spelt right. I have received a few donations recently that my name was misspelt and the bank won't cash those checks. So I do appreciate it, but yeah, just double check that that's correct. And also consider joining our Facebook group. So you can scan this QR code here or enter in one of those web addresses you see on the screen there, and it'll take you to the Facebook group where I post information about each of the upcoming classes, as well as there's over 2,000 people from all over the world at different points in their creative journey, and you can join them, you can ask them for advice, and then ultimately you're going to be helping other people as they begin their journey. So it's this beautiful, wonderful circle of creative life. Okay, so let's get right into it here. So how to scan images and get them into the computer so that we can do some outlining, tracing of them. And I just remembered that I made a video like this for my university students about how I do this. So if you'll bear with me, if I can find it, I'll show you part of that video. Where is it? Okay. What's the best way to do this? Okay, so how about I'll play this video and talk over top of it. So here you're looking at the library at Emily Carr University where I teach, and we have these really cool book scanners. Now, of course, you can use any kind of scanner. Some of you might have a scanner at home. I really like this particular one because it does all the cropping and formatting and all that kind of stuff for you automatically, and also just gives you all sorts of options. But it's also just the way that this scanner is made. It's perfect for laying books on top of without ruining the spine of the book. It's kind of hard to see here. Now, this is again from a video I made for students showing how to scan really large drawings, because I teach figure drawing classes, or that's one of the classes I teach, and often students use large pieces of paper. So here I'm scanning this large piece of paper and I'm just turning the page around and around. But this just shows you this is the same device that I used to scan all the images that we're about to see here in a few moments. So it all scans, and then you can export onto a USB stick here. So I'll just show you how I'm doing that. So you could send it to email, or it saves it in the cloud and gives you a QR code that you could scan on with your phone, and then you can use that to download it onto whatever sort of tablet or phone or computer. Okay, and I'm just going to say end this session. Okay. And I'm just going to show you here. I'm going to take my drawing, and then I always have to remember to take my USB-C stick. There we go. Okay. So, as you'll recall, in our last episode, I had a big stack of books, and I went through each one of those books and scanned maybe 5 or 6 pages from each one of those. So let me get this next part set up here. Okay, so once you've got your images scanned, and ideally you're scanning at 300 dpi, or dots per inch. The lower the resolution, then the more pixelated that image is going to appear. So once you've scanned them at 300 dpi, then we're going to sort these images and then choose the images that we are going to make paintings from. So let me show you what I've got here. So some of this might be a little small on camera here, but this is the folder that as it appears on a USB-C stick. I was going to say UBC. No, that's the university. So maybe I'll just kind of show you what some of this looks like. All these random scans here. And then sometimes you got to rotate them. So I'm just going through here. I'm just going to rotate them all so they're all upright. And if you watched the previous episode, you'll probably recognize a bunch of these images. Now, one thing about scanning things from books is, depending on the printing process that was used and the quality of printing, sometimes those images can have distortions, especially when you zoom in. They have a bend-aid dot pattern, which creates this banding effect, the name of which just escapes me. So you'll see some of these are full page spreads that take place over a couple of pages. So I'm just rotating all these right side up before I even start to go through them and choose them. I think that's upside down. I mean, some of these I just like, it doesn't have any cave. Well, I guess there is some scratchings on the walls back there, but I was like, oh, these look so cool. What could I do with these? Is that upside down? There we go. So I'll say everything we're about to see in today's episode is stuff that I usually do in the middle of the night after our daughter's gone to sleep, sitting at my computer, sorting through sometimes hundreds of scans and or images that I found online, and then trying to make the difficult decision as to which images I want to make paintings from. So, I've already created here kind of a list of the main images that I liked in the different places where they were found, as well as the age of them. So, let's find all the images from Lascaux Cave. Oops, nope, that's in the wrong place. That I want Lascaux here. Altamira. What did I say? That's the Chauvet Cave? Okay, here's some more Chauvet. There were more books than this. Okay, here we go. this one. I loved those big giraffes. Cave of Hands. Which one? This is the Atacama Desert. The Akatama Giant. I loved that one. That one's from the giraffes. Not sure what to do with that. Oh yeah, this one. Narwhal. So, I mean, all the research I've done into this is so fascinating. I'm not going to get into it right now. Lion Man. There's our Venus and Willendorf. So again, usually I try to do all of this behind the scenes, but I've resisted the urge to do all of that so that you can kind of see how I do everything here. Which ones were these? I think these are images that I didn't know where to put. So let me just check what I've got. Ah, where's the Venus of Willendorf? Did I not scan the Mask of Agamemnon? Let's do another search. Okay, well, let's go through these. Oh, there's he ha ha says, "Sir, I'm currently in day 3 of your course. I'm enjoying it a lot. I've been doing commissioned portrait works, but I use grids to draw, which I don't like to. Long gab, no basics made me bad again. And I'm starting from basic again. Tomorrow is my day 4 of the course. It's already late here in India, 12:14 a.m. Wow, you are a champ. That's so cool. Great to see you doing the whole course. That's so cool. Okay. Just thinking, I got all these things open. You know what? I'm not ready yet for that. Let's come back here. Okay, so once I've got all my images at least sorted in or in the right folders, then I'm going to go around and I put little stars next to ones that I'm most keen on. Right, so I went through all those books and I found my favorite images from those books. But then now I'm going to go through and try to narrow this down. To find paintings for us to make. I think we could do something with that. Ah! Okay, that's a definite one. So these ones I'll have to merge together. That one I like a lot. That one I love. I mean, it's amazing. This is like 40,000 years ago somebody did this. Are you kidding me? It's another vantage point of that owl. Okay. Should I go through? Let's go through all these, I guess. And these images, let's make these smaller. These are by one of our students, Charmaine, who went to the replica of the Lascaux cave and took these photos. It's not a really good image, is it? So some of these I might have to look online for better images for. Ah! I like that deer. Quint was here, says, oh, this is crazy. I was watching the first episode in the playlist and noticed the live stream going. Thanks for these. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for watching the videos. Yeah, this one's a little bit different. This is kind of a behind the scenes of how these episodes are made. I love that image. Cave of Hands. I love that. I love that too, the Takama giant. Okay. So I think I'm just going to go right to the Chauvet cave, and I'll show you how I get these images ready. 1 second, I'm about to sneeze. Hopefully you didn't hear that. That was a loud sneeze. Hi, Barbara. Nice to see you there in the chat. Sorry I've been away for a little while, but been very busy. I got a little bit of a tan because my daughter and I have been going swimming as often as possible now that she's on school break. Okay, so we did this. Let's go to step 3. Okay, so we've scanned our images. I've now sorted and chosen some images. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some 8.5 by 11 images that are suitable for the outlining process as I like to do it. And that might sound fairly straightforward, but you'd be surprised how often many of the paintings and images that are featured in these episodes don't quite easily fit the 8.5 by 11 format or 3 by 4. So often I have to spend a lot of time in Photoshop making them fit and using various different tools to enlarge, shrink things. So that's what I want to show right now. And I'm a little worried with the computing power here because my hard drive is almost full. So I'm going to close all of this. I might be unable to see messages here for a bit here. Well, let's see if I can keep Safari open while I bring up Photoshop here. So I'm just expanding things so that, what's the best way? Maybe a full screen, full computer screen. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to merge some images that were on two separate pages. So I'm going to go here to Photomerge within Photoshop. I think I can just drag and drop these images in here, right? No, let's do this on here. Gonna select them. I'm going to let Photoshop do the merging, the auto versions. If they don't work, then you can really start to play with these, but they can get pretty complicated. So right now it's taking those two separate scans and creating one large scan from it. I'm going to flatten that, and I'm going to save this. Let's close that. Okay, let's open up. Let's do a few of these. That looks I like how that looks. There's something, its head looks unusually big. That's pretty wild. Okay. So, what I'm going to do now is so I'm creating a blank document here, and I'm going to bring the image that I just created into Photoshop, and ideally this will fit nice and easily. Now you could, well, actually that's not too bad. I do feel like I might be losing a little bit of that tail. I'm not sure what's going on over here, so let's just... Okay, now I'm gonna crop this image to get rid of all that extra stuff. Then I'm gonna, let's see. So let's save this. Okay, so I saved this file. I'll show you what I do next. So there's a little bit on the top. There's a little bit on the bottom. I'm going to go here to Content Aware Fill. So this is a Photoshop thing that is going to fill in any missing information here. I suppose it's kind of like AI, although it's all done, processed in the computer. It's not using any servers anywhere or anything. So let's deselect that. I'm going to merge here. And then I'm just going to take a look and see if there's any weird artifacting that goes on down here. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit of, let's maybe do some, let's fit on here. Barbara says, this all looks very complicated. I just blow up the image I want and either trace it onto canvas or grid and free draw it, old school. Or I wait until you do all the work, Michael. Thanks heavens for you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Barbara. I appreciate that. Okay. So here's the image. And again, I'm not even entirely sure I want to use this image, but I like creating a bunch of these, and then once they're created, then I go through and choose. So you saw all those scans I did. There's probably about 200 scans. Now after all those scans, I'm gonna create these 8.5 by 11 images. I'll probably have 15 of them or so, I imagine, done. And then I bring those into my iPad and I start the outlining process, which I'll show you. And then I might have, probably coming out of that, maybe 8 images. And then from there, we might only do 1 episode. So you can see that there's a lot of decisions that go on behind the scenes long before any of these episodes ever go to air. So when people are like, what am I up to? You know, this is often all the stuff behind the scenes that you never get to see. So, okay, what I want to do next is I want to just do maybe a little bit of color correction. I like using shadows and highlights and see if I can bring any information. Oops, let's bring the preview up here. So essentially that's what the original image looks like. Right now I'm just trying to maybe darken or brighten some of the shadows up a little bit so that we might be able to see detail that's hiding down here. Looks a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to say okay. And just out of curiosity, what is the auto color contrast? So I'm just checking to see what did it look like before. Have I made any improvements? Okay, that looks better. I do feel like the bottom down here, I'm gonna improve the saturation. Oops, that's not the one I want. That's a bit too much. Okay, I think that's good. So now I'm going to save this file. So this is a potential painting that we could do. So facing rhinoceros. There's my. So I'm not going to go and do all of these, but I'm going to do maybe the ones for the Chauvet Cave and do some of the outlining. So that's one. Let's do the next one here. Actually, let's bring this back to full screen so you can see this. So I'm going to create a new image, landscape format. Why did that? Oops, what happened there? Bison with 7 or 8 legs. Okay, that's what we're gonna call this one. Ooh, that already looks pretty cool. I'm pretty sure we're gonna be doing something with this. Let's oh yeah, I'm gonna crop that. Save that. I'm gonna do the content aware fill again. Think those, so those are the legs, but I'm not sure I'm going to extend them that far. Somewhere around there, so So Photoshop sometimes creates all these weird little fragments and things, so I'm just going to try to remove some of that. Okay, so there's the image. So there's the original. That's okay. Again, sometimes I just like to play around with these auto settings. And let's go once again. Just bumping up the contrast, or not the contrast, the saturation. Sometimes those areas when you've brightened up the shadows gets a little bit washed out. And that's okay. So I'm going to save this now. Okay, now do I want to go through these other ones here? Oh yeah, that's a beautiful one. That was... Yeah, I'll do these two as well. So I'm trying to avoid is any of these kind of weird repeating elements there that are obvious signs of computer manipulation. Just so it looks a little bit more natural. Okay. Save that. We're going to do one more here. What is that? That's... Whoa. I don't know if I put... an Ibex. An old male Ibex is what we're going to call this. Change the way I've named that file. Now that's pretty good. I'm just gonna see what it looks like if I up the... Yeah, maybe just a little bit of brightening. Okay. Let's just save this as a JPEG. Okay. So I'll just show you what I've got here. So a lot to choose from. I do like the idea of different animals. So I like this. This was one of my favorite originally. This one was these two rhinoceroses that appear to be clashing or fighting, locking horns. I liked that one, and there's quite a lot written about this one. But it's also, once you kind of get it to this format, it feels kind of small. Like we got a lot of empty space around the sides versus, like, say, this solitary rhinoceros is all by itself. There's more breathing room. This one maybe could even have been moved a little bit over to the left. I like this Ibex a lot. And I like that Bison a lot. Okay. How do I want to do this next step? I think what I'm going to do... In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my iPad out of its case. Oh, this is all dirty anyway. Give that a good thorough cleaning. And this is a little iPad mini that I bought a few years ago so that I could bring this around and do sketches. I love this little thing. I've got a full iPad Pro here, which is literally double the size. You could put two of these things side by side, but I just love the portability of this. In fact, I'm just going to give it a quick little clean because I want to draw on this and I want you to be able to watch what I'm drawing. Just give it a nice clean. It hasn't been cleaned in a while. I'm not really a I'm pretty hard on my technology. So this is one of the first times this thing has been cleaned in a while. Let's just give all these tools a little cleanup. While I've got this, I'm just going to give this screen protector a little. If you do have an iPad, you might want to hold off before you upgrade to a new one, as because of all these AI data centers, the prices on these tools have gone up quite dramatically. What is that? That's weird. Anyway, that's not important to do right now. Where's my... Barbara says, Michael, there was a problem with the Dropboxes a few weeks ago. They all appeared to be empty. Yeah, somebody hacked the Dropbox folder and went and deleted half or about 90% of the files, and so over the past few weeks I've totally rebuilt the whole Dropbox folder. Luckily I had backed it up about 2 years ago, so it wasn't super, but it just, yeah, it was a little bit frustrating, to say the least. Quint was here, says, I'm very excited to slowly watch all of these videos over time. Says, teaching is an art form of its own right. I'm only able to partially listen in at work right now, but I have trouble self-teaching. The exercises and guided studies in the playlist are truly priceless. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, my friend, for saying that. That's very, very nice. Okay. So let's see. How am I going to do this? Okay. So now that I've got some images that I've formatted to the size that I want to work from, and I format them to 8.5 by 11 so that they print out nice and easily at people's home or work or any kind of business. I know it's a little bit different than A4 and A3, all those different European paper sizes or whatever, but 8.5 by 11 is pretty close. It also fits quite neatly onto 8.5 by 11 canvases, or 9 by 12, which is the ones that I typically like to use. But now that I've got those images, now I'm going to transfer them to my ProCreate, or to my iPad, and open them in ProCreate. So, let's find these files. And how about I'm just going to change this here. So, I mean, I'm going to take advantage of one of the things that the Apple ecosystem offers, which is this AirDrop. And so I'm going to highlight these and transfer them to my iPad there, being transferred. And there they are. So now what I'm going to do is, you can see this is, I use this for the, and then maybe here's a little bit of sneak peek of what's coming down the pipeline. Let's redo this one here. So I create a new, I'm going to plug the iPad in here so you can actually see me drawing. Or should I do that right now? Let's see. let's do this, and then this beauty. So I'm just gonna do it like this for now, because that will make it easier for people to see. And then how do I want to do this? Let's do another one where we've got, don't want to do that. Okay, this might appear kind of redundant, but just so you can kind of see, on the left there is the actual screen, or the feed directly from the iPad, versus here on the right you just see the iPad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Gallery. So I've created a new image here, or to start with. I'm going to insert a photo. I'm going to bring that one in. So now you see it all on the screen there. And since I've already done all of the arrangement and placement, it's already in place. So I like how that looks. Now I'm going to reduce the opacity here. And then I'm going to create another layer here. And now I'm going to draw on top. Now I just want to make sure I got the right brush. So, the complicated thing here is, so let's say I zoom in, and I'm going to do some, oh, the music wouldn't work, right? Okay, let's just mute that. So, the complicated thing is where is the edges? Like, in a drawing like this, you know, I can kind of define that, I suppose. Now some of this could be the texture of the wall. I mean, it's not like they're drawing on smooth surfaces, right? And often these are not only on uneven surfaces, but they're deep inside caves, and so they're painting with, you know, quite crude torches. And again, this was done roughly 35,000 years ago, this original image. how to draw what I see in here. I don't know. So I'm going to provide all of the raw images here so that people can create their own outlines. I'll of course leave my own up there, but just goes to show you how much interpretation goes on in these outlines that I create. Okay, so I'll just show you maybe what this looks like with the original image hidden behind there. I'm going to turn that back on. I'm going to create another layer, and this one I'm going to make a little bit lighter. The fact that these images have stayed intact for so long is remarkable. I mean, just consider how long, you know, I don't know, a billboard or mural stays untouched in a major city these days before somebody draws a mustache on it or tears it or graffitis their name on top of it. Or so that's one of the reasons why archaeologists think that many of these were created so far deep into caves is partly to discourage other people from finding them and defacing them. Altering them, adding to them. Okay. So I usually take this down to about, let's say, 25%. So there's one image. All right, so I'm going to save that. And let's do another one. We'll do one more. Let's see, okay, so this one will do a little bit bigger. Where am I? Should I be right here? And now I can kind of draw a little bit what's in a more convenient way for me. Let's add a photo. Which I like this bison here. Ah. Hey, there's Stephanie in the chat. Hey, everyone. Hi, Stephanie. And Tatiana says, hello, Michael. Nice to see you. Barbara says, oh, man, I was wondering what the problem was with the Dropbox. Thank you for working on getting the Dropbox back up and running for us. And for your classes, and the resources are truly priceless. Thank you, Barbara. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's do this bison image next. that's an ear, isn't it? So I think one of the things I mentioned already when we were exploring, when I was looking through all those different books, is a lot of those different books on cave painting, cave art, feature drawings, similar to what I'm doing right now. And one of the things I was immediately struck by is how much interpretation those archaeologists were applying in that process, and then to kind of pitch it as sort of exactly what was originally done, it kind of feels a little bit disingenuous, because as I said, I'm going to provide all these images for other people, and I imagine every single person who tries to retrace these images is going to come up with something a little bit different. And I wrote my master's thesis was, at least in part, about the difficulty of doing this similar kind of activity. Like defining edges. This is it's an art, and so to present it as a science, I think, is questionable. one thing I did like is that the caption for this image was, I think, a bison with 7 or 8 legs. And then they kind of speculate maybe it's to show movement, but they didn't, for instance, call it running buffalo, or at least I don't think they did. I think what I do appreciate here is they've suggested, well, we don't really know why they did so many legs. Is it because they were trying to show movement, or is it because they're drawing in a dark cave 40,000 years ago? And maybe it's a little bit tricky to draw on a cave wall. I mean, drawing on a cave wall today with the materials that we have available is difficult. Drawing on a cave wall 200 years ago with the tools that artists had available would have been difficult. Doing it 40,000 years ago is without, with very primitive lighting and art materials, is really just nothing short of absolutely bonkers incredible, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so let's just take a look at what I've done thus far. Okay, I like that. Let's bring that back up, and I'm going to do a lighter set of lines that may or may not be of the wall, or they could be faded lines. It's pretty hard to tell. These little kind of scrapes are disputed as to that. We know that they're done by hand. Well, actually, we assume that they're done by humans. There are examples where bears might come into these caves and scratch, to basically their way of giving themselves manicures. To sharpen or sand down their claws, and so it is possible that those marks are from bears, other animals that came into these caves. But I think these ones are believed to have been done by people, and so of course the question is like, well, is this something that was done by the original artists who created these images, or were they done by people who came in there 2 years later, or a week later, or 10,000 years later, and did things to them? One of the main theories is that people basically were kind of like practicing, or maybe even teaching how to hunt one of these animals and would make marks like that to, you know, as kind of where they would typically try to put a spear into the bison. There's also some people who believe that they're part of a shamanistic kind of ritual in which somebody might, you know, attack the drawing as a way of you know, maybe reducing the amount of energy that this animal has, so when they actually see it, they might be able to have better success in the hunt. You know, almost like a voodoo doll or something. Okay. That looks pretty good. So, what's the best way to do that? Or did I? Oh, there should have been. Okay, so I missed step 5. Okay, so I'll show how to. I'm going to export one of these, and then I'm going to plug my laptop back in and show it done again. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to export this image. So I'm going to select, share. I'm going to export the PSD or Photoshop file, and I'm going to send it to my iPad here. I can see it pop up on my computer here. So how about come on, what's going on here? Okay, so I didn't get a chance to show this. This is what we just did here. Step number 5 is to trace the outlines in ProCreate once we got them onto the iPad. And then what we were just doing here was exporting the image from the iPad into the computer again. So, and I know I could do all of this in one. I could try to do this all in my iPad, but I just wanted you to see entirely how my particularly unique process works here. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to export the same image here just so I have multiple viewpoints showing how it's done. Okay, so I got my image here. I'm going to export that. So I've selected it. I'm going to share PSD, and let's bring up so I'm going to send it to my iPad, and you see there it appears. Let's do that again. I'm going to do a different one. Let's select this one. I'm also going to share that to my iPad. Beautiful. This back. Okay, so this is a previous artwork that we did. This is actually, I think, the last painting that we did. So I'm just going to highlight this here. I'm going to copy. Let's close that. Just want to check show vacay. I'm just assuming. Where should we put that? Down here or up there? Let's So now I'm flattening it. I'm going to export this as a PDF. Okay, we're going to create this second one here. So I'm just renaming all these files. Okay. That's okay. Whew. It's getting hot in here. My brain is kind of cooking a little bit, so I apologize. I'm too vocal here while I'm... Oddly enough, I find this more difficult to talk and work than it is when I'm painting. I guess maybe that shows my comfort level with painting. It's also sometimes like doing computer stuff just feels like mentally it's hard. You have to be pretty focused to do this, otherwise I end up making weird, goofy mistakes and erasing things, forgetting to save things, all sorts of wackiness, and that can be really upsetting. Okay. I think I'm going to close that. And then I'm just going to look at what is the difference between all well, sure. Maybe that's a little bit better. Okay. So it's sometimes just kind of nice to see these together. So here's the results. Let me see. Do I need add watermark, post to Dropbox. So I just did the add watermark. Now we're just reviewing the work that we've just done here. Okay, so let's review here. So there's the original image of the bison with 7 or 8 legs. And then there's the outline that I just created here. There's the old male Ibex. And then there's the original. So I'm going to continue doing this for all of these images. We'll do it for the Venus of Willendorf and the Lion Man and the giraffes and all that kind of stuff. And then that way it gives me lots of options for classes that we can do. But I'm also going to show that I'm going to build a space in the Dropbox for this as well. So let's I don't know, actually we'll just show the whole process here. Okay, so the last step here is I'm going to post this to the Dropbox so that you can start to access these materials now, and you can just sort of see the, again, a little bit more behind the scenes as to how this whole process works. So let's get the Dropbox started here. So now we should be able to find those same files listed inside the Dropbox. Let's see, how big is this whole folder here? 105 megabytes. It's not too bad. So I'm going to take this whole folder. We should go raw scanned images. And then edited images. And let's do final paint ready outlines. I put that in there. Edited images, let's get those ready too. I'll put that. I might do a little bit of organizing inside these folders afterwards, but I do want everybody to be able to do this if you want, which is to be able to go into these folders and find the images and potentially just open them up on your own computer, do some of the work that I've just done, so that we all are starting from the same place. And if you want to go and edit those images to your heart's content, you have that opportunity to do so. Then if you prefer, you could just go directly to the edited images that I did at the beginning of today's episode. And if you want, you could just go right to the final images that I've got ready with the outlines that I did on the iPad. So all that information is there from beginning to end. You'll be able to kind of decide how you want to use this. If you do, I suspect very few people are going to bother editing those images again, but I just want to have all of that together so that people can just see in full transparency the workflow that I've been using for the past 4 years on these episodes. Or more than that, it's about 6 years now, isn't it? Okay. I was thinking of doing all of those images, getting them all ready, but I probably think that that's enough. It starts to get quite repetitive as we go here, so I think you probably have a pretty good idea of the workflow as it is, and I think that's what's most important, what I really wanted to convey today. Okay, so we are going to do an episode maybe next week. It's tough because my daughter's out of school now, so today being a holiday made it a little bit easier. I'm able to kind of get some time here. It's going to be tricky, so it won't be quite as consistent until September, which is only a few months away from now. But anyway, if you like this, you're probably not going to be a big fan. This episode's not going to convert too many people into new subscribers. But hey, if you did find this interesting, consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell so you know when the future episodes are taking place. And if you found it so fascinating that you want to leave a donation, you could consider scanning the QR code or entering that web address, and those links are also down in the video description below. Again, just make sure you're using the correct address. That's why I suggest using my links, because the links are definitely working. And go to the PayPal page, what looks like this, where you can safely and securely donate to support the channel. I just had to go buy a new video camera, which I haven't installed yet. But that camera here, which is one of the reasons we were a little bit delayed today, is on its last leg. So, but not too bad. It did a 6-year run here on YouTube. Many hours functioning, but it is out of gas. So other ways you could donate: you can send an e-transfer using my email, which is on the Facebook group and on my website. Those links are down below. You can send a check or money order in the mail. Contact me through my email for the address. Again, I don't post it here because I'm constantly getting bombarded and hacking, phishing attempts from people. It's one of the prices to pay to being a little bit more public like this. So I'm sorry I have to make people go through an extra little hoop here. And then if you want to join the Facebook group, scan the QR code or enter in those web addresses. Again, I think it's the first link in the video description below. It'll take you to the Facebook group, where you can join and post your own artwork to it. And there's a lot of new artwork there that I haven't looked at yet, and so I want to do a new feedback episode. Do I want to do that before we paint? I don't know. I'm not sure, but all of this will be coming over the next few weeks here. We'll try to catch back up and get back on track here. So, Barbara says, outlines, woohoo, thanks, Michael. Barbara says, so good to see Michael online again. Absolutely. So, thank you everybody for keeping me company today. Depending on how today goes, I might do a bit of a spontaneous World Cup themed episode today, but we'll see. My stomach's a little out of sorts, so maybe not. We'll see, depending on how I feel a little later on today. Okay, my friends. Well, thank you so much for keeping me company, for all of the love in the chat. We'll see you again very soon for an upcoming episode, and there is a lot. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here for the next 6 years doing these episodes. It's one of my favorite things to do. So have no fear, more episodes are coming, and probably in September I'm going to not reboot the drawing series, but I have kind of a little twist on it that I want to do, and I'm going to need the help of people who've been watching for a long time to help me with that process. But I'm going to do a channel summary update here as well to kind of let you know about all that. But anyway, lots of good news, lots of good stuff coming down the pipeline. Thanks for sticking with me all these years, and we'll see you guys again in a future episode. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.